What's up, friends? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for joining me here again today for another movie reaction. Going to be checking out Into the Wild, which was a Patreon request from my member Bo, so shout out to him for recommending this movie to me. Super excited to check it out. That was from a Patreon tier that I used to have where you could request specific movies. I'll probably bring it back soon. And I hadn't even heard of this movie until he requested it. And I know a few of you who've been commenting on the channel have mentioned it as well. And so I'm interested to check it out since several people have been talking about it. So I'm sure that I will enjoy it as I've been enjoying all the other recommendations that I've been getting. I do know that from him telling me that it is directed by Sean Penn, which is pretty cool. I've only seen him act in a couple movies before, but never seen him direct, so interested to see what his directorial style is like. As I often do with movies on this channel, I'm going in knowing pretty much nothing about the plot or anything like that. And so I'm excited to check it out, see what it's all about, see who's acting in it and whatnot. And so if you'd like to watch along with me for the entire movie, definitely check out my Patreon link in the description. That's where you can find my full reaction to this, as well as full reactions to the other stuff from my channel, and be able to vote on polls to help me decide what I want to react to next. But I appreciate your support on here, and if by the end of the video you enjoyed it, definitely consider leaving a thumbs up. That helps the channel and helps me out a lot, so I appreciate you guys who do that. And so without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into the Wild.
Mom, help me.
I wasn't dreaming, Walt. I heard him.
Oh, dang. So does that reaction, I mean, we saw his picture there and then his parents, I'm assuming his parents kind of freaking out. Does that mean he's missing or something? Or maybe they just don't know where he is. I don't know. I really like the music already. It's got a very relaxing tone, kind of got a bit of an indie feel to it. Whoa, that'd be pretty crazy. That'd be kind of a cool experience. Definitely something that you wouldn't be able to do often. I'd be nervous doing that even for like a week, let alone some months. Man, if he's going to be out in the wild for most of this movie, it makes me excited because I'm betting we'll probably get some pretty cool cinematography. Ooh, yep, definitely already delivering on my thought about cool cinematography. Whoa, Catherine Keener. Nice. And Vince Vaughn. Whoa, there's some random stars in this cast. Kristen Stewart, what the heck? I was thinking this was more of like an indie type movie just because I'd never heard of it before. But I mean, with this cast, it doesn't really seem very indie. Oh, that would destroy your legs. It's probably so freezing cold. Is that a van? Looked like the side of a car. Oh yeah, that's a big van. Basically a bus. I don't think it's a van. Definitely makes a shelter a lot easier than just building off trees and snow.
Don't psychoanalyze me, alright? Shut up, I'm taking you out to where we're going. Where are you going? I told you, we're going nowhere!
When you got no one else, might as well make conversation with yourself.
The climactic battle to kill the false being within, victoriously conclude the spiritual revolution.
Oh, interesting. We're getting flashbacks.
I see my father strolling out. I see my mother with a few light books at her hip. I want to go up to them and say, stop. She's the wrong woman. He's the wrong man. You are going to do bad things to children. You are going to want to die.
Whoa, that took quite the dark turn. I was not expecting to hear those words based off the tone so far.
Well, my grades are good enough, I think, to get into Harvard Law.
How much do you have left in the college fund?
$24,500.68.
I'm gonna get you out of that junker.
What junker?
That.
We want to buy you a new car.
Why would I want a new car? Are you worried what the neighbors might think?
So that's where the disconnect is. The parents are super wealthy and well-to-do, but he's not interested in material possessions. Whoa, so he's not going to Harvard then.
It was inevitable that Chris would break away. He would do it with characteristic immoderation.
Shoot, so he is done with the normal life then. He's getting rid of all his items and stuff. Interesting, it's done in chapters. I mean, I guess it's his money that was in the college fund. I don't know, but I mean, his parents will probably be fuming. They find out he sent it all away.
I need a name.
Oh, so he just made up the name. I see. Because his name's Chris, right? Wonder where he got the name Alexander Supertramp.
And on it went. Clever boy, my brother. But by the end of July, we hadn't heard anything from him, and my parents were becoming unsettled.
Oh, so yep, the beginning scene when they were freaking out, waking up in the middle of the night, that was because they had no idea where he was. Oh, that's so cool. Love cool forest set pieces like that. They're just so pretty.
Step around.
Oh, okay,
Jump in.
I barely saw you there underneath that crazy hat of yours. This store's a little too.
There's Catherine Keener.
He decided to burn all of his money. And why did you do that?
I don't need money. Makes people cautious.
Come on, Alex. Got to be a little cautious. You can't depend entirely on leaves and berries.
It's interesting, even people of a very similar nature to him still kind of judge what he's doing as a little reckless.
There had been daily bouts of rage in our house. I remember the first family meeting to let us in on their plans for getting a divorce. They wanted us to choose which of them we'd live with.
That'd be an awful situation. Can't imagine the stress that would put on you as one of the kids.
We'd say, go ahead, get the divorce.
Where's Jan going?
Well, my friend, all is not well on the hippie front.
They having a fight too?
It's funny how things happen at particular times. We've been going through this thing. So when we ran into you, she's talking about it. You know what I mean?
Some people feel like they don't deserve love. Walk away quietly into empty space and close the gaps of the past.
Is he speaking from personal experience? Is that how he feels about himself?
You gonna walk across the water and get her back for me, pal?
I don't know if that whole interaction was like a metaphor for how his dealings with his parents could have been, because his dad doesn't strike me as the person who really listens to him, but this guy seems to have really listened to him, and so Chris or Alexander seemed a lot more willing to help with the issues. I don't know if I'm drawing too much from that, but this definitely strikes me as the kind of movie that has a lot of meaning behind it. We pieced.
She reminded me.
I know.
That's kind of cool, though, that he got to help him work through a bit of an issue there before he left him. I don't know if that's going to be kind of like a theme. He's going around helping people in each stop that he makes. Also, just another thought that I had that popped into my mind. The first chapter was called My Own Birth or something like that. Then that chapter 2 was Adolescence. But are those titles like signifying that each point in the movie of him kind of roaming around the country doing his own thing, are they like reflections of his past and things that he experienced? Maybe I'm just really reaching here. I don't know if I'm wrong, but obviously in that other scenario, he kind of had a better result than he had in his childhood with his parents, with those two people. So maybe each of these sections traveling around is going to be him kind of doing better than what happened earlier in his life. I don't know if any of that made sense.
The police thought Chris had chosen to leave it behind and not that it was taken from him. The initial comfort that gave Mom and Dad quickly turned to the realization that Chris was actually trying not to be found.
Regardless what kind of parent you are, if you have a child who is trying to avoid you at all costs, that definitely would hurt. I mean, based off the earlier conversations, though, it didn't seem like his parents were super caring towards him, but I mean, regardless, still would be rough.
How do you feel?
I feel great.
Okay, keep it straight. God bless you. Make yourself some money, my friend. I'll see you in a little bit.
Where you going?
Ah, that's Vince Vaughn. Didn't recognize him at first. He's not the person that I would expect to show up in this movie.
What do you think about all this?
I like all this.
Going around experiencing everything that he can. I gotta respect it, man. Definitely helps you gain an understanding of other cultures and other people when you try and experience things that other people go through.
Be out there in it, you know, in the wild.
What are you doing when we're there? Now you're in the wild. What are you doing?
You're just living, man. Getting out of this sick society.
Our society!
Society, man.
Society!
Society!
We live in a society.
This is a mistake. Alex, you're a hell of a young guy. A hell of a young guy. You gotta just kind of be easy.
Vince Vaughn is like so known for comedic things and stuff like that, but I feel like occasionally he'll just go into a drama role and just do a great performance, because he's doing a great job so far in these couple of scenes.
When a search of tax records revealed that Chris had given his life savings to charity, they hired a private investigator and notified law enforcement nationwide, determined to track him down.
Yep, definitely knew they were not going to take kindly to that. It's getting harder and harder for him to avoid his parents.
When you get your kill, time is of the essence. Make sure that you got that meat nice and shaved up. And you don't have a lot of time to do this. You want to make sure that them flies don't land on your meat, because once them flies start out larvae and the maggots, it's too late.
I like that cool editing style where he has the two boxes, one on each side. It's unique. Always appreciate unique styles like that. Oh, and these guys are speeding in. Holy crap. What is going on? Is this for Alex?
I think you know why we're here.
Impressive turnout.
This is for Vince Vaughn. Shoot, what the heck? Was he not running a legal operation here? Guess that means it's on to the next place for old Supertramp.
When they met, Dad was already married, and even after Chris was born, Dad had had another son with his first wife, Marcia, to whom he was still legally married.
Oh, shoot. Dang, so yeah, that makes sense why they thought he was a bad dude, or why he mentioned he was a bad dude earlier in the movie.
But when it came to my brother, they did not seem to know or care that their course of secret action brought the kind of devastation that could cut them. And our father's denial of this other son was, for Chris, a murder of every day's truth.
I can definitely see where Chris is coming from in that situation of wanting to kind of disassociate himself a little bit, especially if they refuse to acknowledge their mistakes.
Why wouldn't he send a letter, maybe through a friend? It hurt a little, but I told myself it was good. He knew I loved him enough to bear with the not knowing.
When is his sister's narration taking place? Or is it just like a beyond the fourth wall type narration and it's not taking place at any particular time?
He was found in a neighbor's kitchen, up on a chair, digging through their candy drawer. Whatever drawer he was opening now must have something pretty sweet in it.
Nice, some good dialogue right there. Emily Hirsch definitely had a cool acting job for this movie, because he basically just gets to go on a vacation around the US, visit all these cool different locations.
And how did you get into Mexico in the first place?
Through the spillway at Morelos Dam. Poured my kayak over the desert and I hitched down to Golfo. But after a few weeks, sandstorm came up and blew the kayak away.
Again, man, cool editing there with the multiple boxes and then boxes within boxes. Appreciate kind of the unique style of this movie. Definitely giving me something that I don't usually see. I'll admit, at the beginning of the movie, a little ways into it, I was kind of apprehensive about his decision to just go roaming around everywhere, but the longer the movie goes on, the more I'm thinking to myself, like, hey, this would be pretty cool, actually. Get some fun experiences this way. So his decision is certainly growing on me a little bit. Oh no, did they find out that he's a stowaway on the train? Oh, freak. That actually really startled me.
Show me your face.
Dang, bro, that seems like quite the extreme reaction to chilling on the train cart.
And we will do whatever we have to do to keep you freeloaders from violating our liability.
Yes, sir.
You got any ID?
Oh, sir.
Of course you don't.
I mean, maybe he's had problems with a bunch of other people like him trying to stow away, maybe for the wrong reasons, but I feel like you could just ask him to get off. Don't have to beat him half to death. So sick. This is definitely reaching and even exceeding my expectations for the cinematography from the movie that I said in the beginning, how if it took place in nature, I was expecting good stuff. Certainly giving it to me.
With almost a year having passed since Chris's disappearance, my parents' anger, their desperation, their guilt was giving way to pain, and pain seemed to bring them closer. Even their faces had changed.
I mean, it's sad that his parents have to deal with that despite all their shortcomings. So I guess not super sad, but it is kind of cool that Chris being gone for so long is helping them kind of mend their relationship and change their mindset.
I fear for the mother in her. I begin to wonder if I can understand all that Chris is saying any longer. But I catch myself and remember that these are not the parents he grew up with, but people softened by the forced reflection that comes with loss.
Ooh, that's some deep stuff right there. I really like those few lines of dialogue. That was quite poetic. I'll admit, in the beginning, just from an outside perspective going into the movie, not knowing anything, felt like Chris wanting to just go out there in the wild, ditch everything he'd ever known, all money, all family, everything. Felt a little bit like a selfish perspective, but the farther the movie goes on with backstory and with those lines of dialogue as well, definitely makes me change my perspective on that and see how he's doing it, I'm sure, not just for himself, but also to benefit the people that he left behind. Oh. That is one big kill right there. And remembering the conversation from earlier, he almost has like no time to get this before all the bugs start coming. Dang, bro, is that a real moose? If it's not, it's a very convincing prop. Dang it. There's all the larvae they were talking about. All his food's gonna be ruined. No! No! That sucks. All that work and such a big kill. It's all gone to waste. Hey. Our friends from before are back.
No. No!
Love it. That's awesome. Joyous reunion right there.
Let's give it up for Slab City's own Tracy T!
Hey, my name's Tracy.
There's Kristen Stewart. I was wondering when she was gonna show up in this movie. Shoot, dude, she looks so young in this.
Don't you think you ought to introduce yourself to our little Joni Mitchell over there?
Love it. Rainey trying to set him up. She's definitely eyeing him, that's for sure.
Hi.
Hi.
Rainey's like, I'm just gonna let them do their thing. I'm out.
I was gonna go take a walk to Salvation Mountain. You wanna go?
Okay.
Yes, let's go. Even just out living in the wild on the road, still can go on a date.
Tourists come in here and they look at that car door up there. They really like it. And I found car doors and put them up in there, and I bolted it all in.
That's so cool. This movie's definitely making me want to go out and explore a bit more and appreciate the things around me.
But I ended up raising Reno on my own. It's my boy. His name's Reno. And I haven't even heard from him in 2 years. I don't even know where he is.
Oh, wow.
Hope I get to meet him sometime.
Your folks know where you are.
If he was gonna hear something like that, definitely the right person to come from, since he respects her and kind of has a similar kindred spirit to her. I'm sure that definitely makes him reconsider not letting his parents know where he is, seeing how it affects someone else.
He didn't talk to you about Reno, huh? Children can be pretty harsh when it comes to their parents. You planning on seeing yours?
I only got one plan, Rainey.
That would be Alaska?
Alaska.
Seems like his mind is dead set on not contacting his parents, though, I guess.
You want to do something together?
I am an old woman named after my mother.
Seems like a pretty cool place if you can just hang out here with everybody, get some cool concerts every night. And I didn't know that Kristen Stewart had such a good voice.
Hey, you're pretty magic.
Yeah?
Yeah. And just remember, if you want something in life, reach out and grab it.
Respect to Chris, man. Wherever he goes, he leaves a positive impact, I feel like. I bet she'll remember those words for a long time. Kristen Stewart, I thought, did really good in this. I don't know if this was before all the Twilight stuff or not, but she definitely has good acting capability, I feel like. Just need the right role, right director.
Just get your pack and get on out of here, okay? I don't think I could take a hug.
That's sad for her. It feels like she's losing a second son. Oof. If he's thinking about crossing that, I don't see a way that he's going to be able to cross that. Those are some heavy currents right there. Oh, freak. Ooh, he just avoided disaster there. I guess it's back to the bus. Ooh, he's starting to feel the effects of being out there by himself.
You strike me as a bright young man. Am I wrong about that?
I think I got my head on my shoulders pretty good.
Well, how old are you?
23.
23 years old. Son, don't you think you ought to be getting an education and a job and making something of this life?
I think careers are a 20th century invention.
There's some very different ideals clashing. Two men from completely different generations trying to understand each other.
Hey, Mr. Franz, I want to show you something. Come on.
Getting a little steep, a little high for me, kid.
From the top, you can see all the way to the Salton Sea, too.
You can see the Salton Sea from up there? My goodness.
You don't want to go up?
He's just starting on his way back down. Description was enough for him.
I do a lot of leather engraving. I got a little workshop out in the garage. Between that and my pension, I do it pretty well.
When we finish eating, I'd love to see your workshop.
Would ya?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was hoping you'd say that.
This movie makes me want to just go out and talk to people, make connections, which is something because definitely keep to myself more. But this movie is reminding me that there's so many wise people out there, people that have interesting stories, things to share.
Son, what the hell are you running from?
I mean, the core of man's spirit comes from new experiences. And there you are, sitting on your butt.
Sitting on my butt?
He's certainly telling it like it is.
I'll show you. Sitting on my butt.
Come on, then. Come on.
Sitting on my butt. Ha.
Hey, I mean, he got him up. He's climbing now, so those words definitely inspired him, or motivated him at least.
You all right?
I got a little pinhead.
He got all the way up. What a legend.
I'm gonna miss you when you go.
I'll miss you too, Ron. But you're wrong if you think that the joy of life comes principally from human relationships. God's placed it all around us. It's in everything.
Dang, this movie's just like one big inspirational message. I like it. That was also a very nice moment right there between the two of them.
But there's some kind of bigger thing we can all appreciate, and it sounds like you don't mind calling it God. When you forgive, you love. And when you love, God's light shines on you.
I like that a lot. Man, dropping some wisdom bombs right there on Chris. I liked the interactions between the two of them. Those were pretty cool. I've liked all the interactions he's had so far, though. He's barely getting by at this point. Dang, life out in the wild doesn't look quite as enjoyable as it was a few weeks ago on the bus. Oh gosh, man is in bad shape right now. Dang, what's wrong with him? Is he just thirsty? Oh shoot, he got the inedible one, didn't he? This is not the time to be getting poisoned out in the middle of nowhere where nobody knows where you are. I don't want to see him dying out here. Bro, he is so thin. Dang, is that really him? That is some commitment to the acting if he actually starved himself to look like that. If it's not, you would have fooled me. It looks incredibly convincing. Nature's very unforgiving, man. Make one mistake and it'll hang you out to dry.
I had an idea. When I'm gone, I'm the end of the line. My family will be finished. What do you say you let me adopt you?
Oh.
Could we talk about this when I get back from Alaska?
Oh dang, I'm worried Ron's not gonna be around by then, cause he's pretty old.
Thank you.
Shout out to this actor, whoever played Ron though. He's had a relatively small part in the movie, but he's delivered some powerful moments. Some of the best of the movie.
What did his voice sound like now? What would he tell about now?
Whoa, slow down, man. This sequence is making me feel like that's the end of him. That he died out there. I don't want that. Freak, I was so worried that the movie was just going to end and be like, yeah, he died out there, and I was ready to be real sad. Thank goodness he is not dead, although he's looking like he's near it. When shared. I love that. That's a pretty powerful statement, but 100% matches everything that had been going on in the film up to that point. All his best moments were with other people. Okay, Chris, time to come on home, my guy.
Call each thing by its right name.
No.
By its right name.
Fetch, is he really gonna die out here? Also, powerful moment right there showing that he's acknowledging his real name is Chris and acknowledging where he came from.
What if I were smiling and running into your arms? Would you see then what I see now?
Don't end there, dude. Come on. You can play all the happy music you want right now. It doesn't mean I'm gonna feel happy right now. That's not Emily Hirsch. Is that a real picture of somebody? Was this based off a true story? Whoa, that was a real story? That's insane. I had no idea. That puts so much more emotional weight into that. Shoot, man, now I'm extra sad about his death. Because this whole time I thought it was just a fictitious story. But if it's based off a real story and it ends with him dying at the end, that's so sad. Despite being frustrated that it ends with him dying at the end, obviously if it's a true story, that changes how I feel about it, because obviously that's how it ended in real life. That's how you have to end it in the movie. But if I get any interpretation from the end, he did reach his peak enlightenment, I guess, because he accepted who he was despite however many flaws or anything bad that came from being from where he came from. And his last little flashback memory was of him meeting his parents again, which I guess is him in a way mentally forgiving them and wanting to be there with them again, if I'm interpreting that right. I don't know how many movies Sean Penn has directed or if this was his debut film, but I thought he did a really good job with it. There's definitely a certain charm to the movie, the way that it flows, the dialogue, and all the direction and things. It's hard to put into words, but it is a very unique experience watching it. And there were a lot of good, impactful messages throughout it as well that I really liked. So I'm super sad that the movie ended with Chris dying there at the end in the bus. Obviously, real life Chris, who I did not realize was a real person until the end, obviously died there as well. And so it was staying true to that real life story. But I guess if I'm trying to take the spirit of the film and apply it to my perspective, it is all about the journey and the things that you accomplish and the people you meet along the way, not necessarily just about the destination or the end of the movie. And so if I just think about all the things that I loved about the movie throughout, then I would say that I really, really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great. The more that it went along, the more that I loved it. At the beginning, I was a little bit skeptical of how I would feel about it. Wasn't sure about the character's personality, Chris's personality, if I agreed with his ideology, why he was doing things. But the more it went along, the more I kind of accepted his point of view and saw all the good things that he was accomplishing because of his decision and all the people that he was helping along his way. And obviously he himself changes a lot through the movie as well, especially by the end. He's definitely kind of discovered the biggest lesson of all, which he wrote down in his book, being that, I don't remember the exact quote, but it's something along the lines of happiness is only great or achieved or something like that if it's shared. And so I thought that was, I may have butchered the quote, but you guys know what it is, and obviously I'll have included it in the edit. So, but I love that message, think it's very powerful. Obviously you can still, I believe you can still get some happiness from just things on your own, but I would definitely agree that some of the best life moments and best happiness can come from experiences with other people. Obviously, it's true in this film. All the wonderful people he met along the way, his favorite moments were all with people that he came in contact with. And the entire film, Chris is very set on kind of becoming someone else, separating himself from his past, his family. He talked several times about how he didn't have a family anymore. But at the end of the film, he reaches the conclusion that Chris and not Alexander Supertramp is who he actually is, despite the bad relationship with his parents, despite feeling like he was stuck in a situation he didn't want to be in. Despite all of that, that was who he was, and he was the person he was because of all those things, even though some of them could have been negative. And I really like that lesson and message. I think that's a cool message, to not discount all your life experiences and to accept kind of who you are, but to use that to your benefit and to look for the most positive things and to accentuate that and use those things to become better. And there's a ton of messages that the movie gives that are great as well, that I thought pretty much each person that he comes into contact with throughout the movie has a unique and interesting and significant message and story to tell. And so I really appreciated all of that. And with the movie and him kind of going to all these different situations, it could have felt like more of an anthology type movie where each thing is very different, but I felt like they did a great job at making it flow very nicely, and I felt like I was watching one cohesive story. And so definitely a credit to Sean Penn with his direction and everyone else behind the scenes. And obviously can't talk about the movie without talking about Emily Hirsch's acting in this. He was great. I thought he did a really good job of carrying the film. He was pretty much on screen the whole time, I feel like, except in a couple of flashback scenes. And so he was definitely enjoyable to watch and captivating. And when he felt pain, I felt pain watching him. He did a great job selling a lot of the emotions of his character, and so fantastic job. And so big shout out to Bo for recommending this. Really loved it. So thank you for recommending such a great movie for me to check out. Hopefully all of you guys enjoyed watching my reaction to it, and if you did, consider leaving a thumbs up. That definitely helps the channel, helps the video reach more people. And as always, if you'd like the full reaction to this as well as my other stuff from the channel, definitely check out my Patreon link in the description. That's where you can find that. But until the next video, I will see you all later. Peace.